This is Marcy with MarcyFineArt. And what do you do when you start out with the best of intentions to do a piece and all of a sudden you just don't like it? And there are a couple things you can do. You can put it aside and go back to it. But what if you need to finish it that day? What do you do? So that's something I'm going to address in this video. But first let me show you how I got to the place I didn't like and then go from there. So I started with this newspaper photo of Yosemite. I thought it was cool. I thought I could transfer it, to a larger sheet. So let's talk about how I did that. I used a grid method. This is a 5x7 newspaper sheet and a newspaper photo. So I proportionately sized it up to 8x10. So I'm adding 3 inches to the 5, which makes it 8, and 3 inches to the 7, which makes it 10. So that's something I did want to show you here, that I'm doing that. Also, I wanted to address the fact that I am teaching about colored pencils and markers, and this is a very improvisational technique. So that's how it can go south really easily, and it did. But with those tools, I still have the ability to change it up. So let's see what I did. First, let's watch how I started and got to a point that was okay, but it just wasn't quite good enough. Now, as I always do, I am looking for the darks and the lights. Again, that's why this was not a great photo. Those darks and lights weren't the best. And if I had really taken note of that at the get-go, I probably wouldn't have used that. So in my haste to get something going here, I was not paying really close attention. The variety of lights and darks in that photo I thought I could correct later on. Nope, couldn't. But I'm going in and I'm going to put my lights and darks in on this, and we'll see what happens as I go forward. What I see as I go forward is they're just not good enough for me to reference. So here go my darks and lights. So phase 1, I always do my shapes, then I go to the darks and lights. So you'll see I'm putting them in with an ink pen. Sometimes I do that with a pencil, but today I decided I was using my ink pen. Now here I'm deciding that I'm going to use blues and purples. I've done many landscapes when I do these tutorials. Blues and purples are what I usually use to start filling in my darks. So I'm going to go ahead and do that here. All seems well at this point, so I'm pretty happy so far. So, and I go right over that pen. Whenever I'm using these markers, I go right over my darks and lights. So that's part of the technique that I'm passing on today, how I use the colored pencils and markers. Now in this section, you're going to watch me go very quickly through using my greens, blues, and purples to lay in all the basic shapes of this composition. If you notice, composition is very symmetrical and it's mostly cool colors. And those are the things which kind of led me to not really like it a whole lot. So, and then you'll watch me use my white marker as a blending tool here toward the end, which starts blending things together. Here it is, the white Posca marker, which will be blending all these together. And I'm back again. My phone's warm again, doesn't want to be working well for me today. What I want to do now, I'm using a pencil. So the three things I use, or four, are the colored pencils, the pen, the markers, and did I say pencil? Pencil. So I am going to look for now some details up here in the granite. Just to put that in. And again, I'm going to say, oh, here we go again. I'm looking at lights and darks. There are light and dark areas in these granite things. Really big one here. And I see this motion in, I see that happening in that water. And I see this happening up here. Now what I don't like about this painting is the color. These colors are not happy to me whatsoever. First of all, this is not a good photo. So I would say there's not enough warm colors. So I'm going to put some in here where I think they should be. Let's see here. I think these need to be red. So what I decided to do when I have a real problem, I typically will go back to some of my favorite painters, and mine are the Impressionists, and I also really like posters from the 40s, especially travel posters. And here I'm looking at, this is a Yosemite poster from the 40s. Absolutely love the colors. This is a later Impressionist painting. I really liked those colors. So what I'm doing is I look at these works, I'm letting them kind of inspire me and let them help me think about what I want to put in the rest of this painting. Now this one's way too intense and a little bit, overcolored for me. But you got to look at some you don't like and some you do like. So this one. Now, again, to remind me of who I am, I look at one of my own pieces to see the qualities I liked in that. So I've looked at several pieces to kind of give me an idea of what I want to do. And after I looked at those, this was the final piece that I came up with. As you see, I have added in lots more warm colors. You see all these oranges. You see that I've changed the bottom, the lake that's closest to us, to be, have a lot more different shapes in it. And on the left and the right, I darkened the trees, and I actually totally got rid of the whole Yosemite feel. I let them become clouds. So my inspiration from all of these different paintings that I looked at just led me to do something that looked a lot more like my style, and freed me from the piece in the beginning that I was working on that I just didn't really like. I wanted it to be more like one of my paintings. So this is what I came up with. And I like it. It feels more like an Impressionist piece. It feels like my piece. So that's the lessons for today. What happens when you just really don't like what you're doing? I look for whatever inspiration I can find by the artists that I truly love, and then I go toward my own style. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and I will see you next time on Marcy Fine Art. Enjoy!